Welcome back to another Alliance War video. We have 4 Loki versus Celestial Avengers. This is war number 7 on the season, and they banned Scorpion, CGR, and Hercules. So, getting into my first path, I actually was splitting my path with somebody else this war. I wasn't supposed to take this Annihilus or America Chavez in section 2, but some scheduling issues arise, so I had to take this late in the night. So we typically clear the boss the same day, but I needed to just kind of clear these paths to get things going on Mini Island. So I didn't duel Annihilus beforehand. I just had to jump in. I had some real life stuff going on. I was babysitting my nephew, so I wasn't really in a space to where I could even duel if I wanted to. But the plan here basically is to parry heavy and build build some power, some prowess, and then try to hit his block to remove the flourish, but try not to get cornered. And right there I do, but I'm in the corner and I'm like okay. Here I parry heavy and I get the protection, and I want to get to my SB2 so I can kind of double up on it. But now I have a stifle on me, so I want to hit his block, and I end up eating an SB1, and I'm like, okay, I need to get back in control of this fight. And so here I want to bait this SB2, and I want to make sure that I control spacing as I do so. So I'm going to take all of this on the block, and this is force of will, so I'm not going to shut down any of his abilities. And there I didn't keep track of the stifle on me, and unstoppable triggers. And I'm like, great, that's not what I wanted to do. But here he has 2 flourish buffs, and I decided to throw my SB3 after I hit his block. But of course he comes at me instead, and he goes unstoppable because I had a stifle on me. But I throw the SB3, does good damage. I know I'm going to have another special. I'm just going to intercept with the Fury up, and that should kill him. It's kind of scattered fight, but White Magneto handles it really well. Next up is Atuma, and I'm taking this with Professor X so I can actually ramp up since I am taking the boss this war. And I have a White Magneto pre-fight. I used a White Magneto pre-fight last fight, but since I have Omega Sentinel on the team, that helps ramp up Professor X quicker. It also gives White Magneto another persistent charge. So while I used 2 persistent charges on the Annihilus fight, I also gained 1 per him being metal, 1 for the win, and 1 for my SIG, and another 1 for the Omega Sentinel synergy. So I actually came out with a total of 8 persistent charges to use for my entire war. Now here, I place 1 for Atuma so I can parry heavy safely. I'm just trying to bait SB1s, and I am mutant boosted, of course, since I am, going to be taking my first set of fights all at once. And here I'm just waiting to heavy and get the protection down. I'm already at 100 charges, and I can throw my SB3 with 1 charge, so I heavy cancel into it, and it, it's enough damage basically to win the fight. Don't remember if it's I don't think it kills all at once. No, yeah. So the second SB3 will. But moving on to section 2, I have a Kingpin on the Power Snack, Power Sting Mini, heading into 4, 5, 6. And I swapped my masteries in order to do more damage. So here you see me in the fight, and she has about 6,900 attack, and I go ahead and throw full recoil, bleed, and poison on, and I'm max boosted. You see me enter the fight. I have a White Magneto pre-fight. Shout out to Mandy, so it allows me to parry easily. And now you see that fully boosted, she's just under 10k. So the plan basically here is I'm not going to apply any second mediums. I don't want to give him any more debuffs to shrug and raise his combat power rate, and possibly go over power mode. And I'm just going to do medium and 4 lights, and then push into an SB1, and just basically dex the SB1 and kind of go at it. I thought about throwing a special here and there, but I just don't want to feed him any debuffs. And you can see now, like 20 seconds in, he's about halfway down. And so I'm like, okay, well, she's doing plenty of damage. Just trying to bait this this special one. He goes a little passive, so it's prolonging the fight. And he's, you know, gonna throw it here. And it's basically pretty simple. There's nothing much to this fight. It's completely safe. I don't need the White Magneto pre-fight here. Again, it's more of a luxury. I am running points in collar tech. When I use Omega Sentinel, I typically do, just to lower their the power they gain from being hit. I find that very, very useful. And so there, I just didn't feel like the timing was right with the heavy and the unstoppable, and I didn't want to eat anything. So just kind of playing it safe and, you know, going at it. So my next fight is Nova on Ebb and Flow Intercept as this Kingpin goes down. And I'm going to be using White Magneto for this fight. Now, I did have, I swapped my masteries again. I removed the poison off of my mastery tree, and I'm still running Recoil and Bleed. I want the extra attack for White Magneto, and I'm running Mutant Boost, so if I can throw an SB2 and you know, throw them back to back. And here I actually debated on whether to run an invulnerability boost or not. And you'll see that it's rather important that I did, because it allowed me the luxury of tanking an SP3 if available. Now, this is not on Force of Will, so I will shut down the global on some of the blocked hits. And right now I'm letting my magnetism kick on, and I get a quick intercept, and I get the Fury up. I'm like, all right, perfect. And I just like to stay close to Nova so I can possibly get some parries as he throws some light attacks. But, you know, I didn't get that at first, so I'm like, okay, here. I bait an SP1, and he gets an Energize up. And, you know, typically White Magneto does kind of shut that Energize down, so I was kind of bummed that he saw that. But White Magneto also has in his kit, and Red Magneto does not do this, he lowers their combat power rate per his abilities versus metal. So here I throw my SP2, and I'm like, okay. He throws that, and he goes red right there. I was trying to bait the SP2, but per his abilities to, you know, gain power when he dashes at you, he throws it, and I'm like, all right. His extra damage that he does off his SP3 is based off a percentage of the damage dealt with the SP3. So when you have an invuln, nothing basically happens. Now there, the protection went down just as my second hit of my SP2 was you know, being hit. And I'm like, okay, at this point, I'm like, you know what? I don't really care about the protection. I'm just going to throw my SB2, and it should kill. And it does. 34k crit at the end. So that fight, I used the White Magneto pre-fight just for the extra damage, not really for anything else, but because I'm also going to get, you know, 2 more back, and then another persistent charge, and per the synergy, another one. So I'm loaded on pre-fights. It's great that White Magneto can take fights as well as just be a pre-fight person. So this fight, we had assigned a torch with Flame On with the White Magneto pre-fight. We're going to double this, but again, some scheduling issues. Our player wasn't available, so I was like, okay. I thought about not like getting a different power back boost, because if she throws a heavy like she did right there, then she can reverse my mutant boost. So of course she throws 2 heavies because I missed some parries, and at this point I'm like, okay, just start my ramp. If I can just not dex, I don't trigger MD, and perfect. She throws this SB1, and I don't trigger dex, but of course I lose my invuln off of that missed parry, and I'm like, man, I just really hate Chavez. But I need to get her to, I need to buy time at this point. I'm waiting for the negative zones just to kind of like fall off. And if she can throw an SB1, then that would be great, because now all of them are off, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. At 2 bars of power, I just need to throw another heavy. I missed a parry there, but my falter saves me. And I'm like, okay, if she can throw another special, but of course she throws a heavy out of nowhere. She throws this special without me triggering MD, so I'm going to take that on the block. And at this point, I need to get an intercept. So I want to bait an SB1 and then use my falter to gain an intercept. But she comes at me. I'm trying to... I dex right here at this point, so I'm like, I'm in the corner. And I go for an intercept, and I get it. And I'm like, okay, just throw this. I know she has a negative zone up, but I should be able to get to enough power with my cycle to do some real damage. I have maxed out in recoil. I don't have any bleed or poison points on. But you see this does great damage, and I still actually get to my sp3, and at that point she's dead. So fight started out a little sketch, but ultimately it went well. So Torch would have absolutely nuked this. I think I just have some Chavez PTSD from my times fighting her, and I know I'm just due for a bad fight with her, but that went down smoothly. Next up is the final fight for my ramp up with X. Actually, well, that last fight actually gave me my final fight. So here we have a Sasquatch, and it was ideal that I did take that Chavez, because now I'm fully ramped for this Sasquatch. So when I start my sp3 cycle, and the plan here basically is to power start 1. I have a white Magneto pre-fight, and that means I can parry off of Mighty Charge. And just basically I'm going to ramp up my 200 charges and try not to trigger Dex so I don't feed him any more MD power, and get to my special 3, max 200, and bait his sp2 to dump his power before Wrath so I can get an intercept, and then throw my my sp3. That's the goal. And so here I did trigger MD, so he gets to an sp2 a little quicker. I'm going to use backdraft intercept, and I'm like, all right, perfect. But you see there, as I parry him to get to 100 charges and do my last heavy, because I was at 97, he goes immediately into Wrath and he's stun immune. But luckily my falter, saved me, and I was able to heavy him and get to 100 charges, which starts my spam. So yeah, it's all she wrote. Basically two specials, and this big old tanky Sasquatch is dead. So I love taking X into Sassy, just he makes it really easy, and you don't really have to worry about much with it. So minute fight. Could have been a little bit shorter if if I played it a little bit better. But now we're taking the spot, and I have every pre-fight under the sun here. Like I'm running 12 200s and just big boosts all around. I'm using a power start 1 because my plan is to basically get to my special 3 before he gets to he gets a lot of power. I have a horseman, I have Reed pre-fights, I have Odins. The Odins weren't planned. I just, with the scheduling, the person who was supposed to come, take some fights, didn't have any fights at the end. So I was like, hey, throw some Odins just so I can have more Odins than Trevor, since he just took this fight recently. And there I was a little late with my heavy, and I'm like, I have to throw it as soon as I see the black spot come up with this heavy, that heavy counter right there. So he's coming at me as I'm coming at him. Then I use my falter to heavy charge and get a longer heavy charge. I'm at 87. I'm like, okay. I'm at 99. I just need one more heavy and I'm fully charged. And then he dumps his power, so I'm like, this is great. He's only at 1 spot, and I'm in the corner. So at this point, I need to get to red, but I'm gonna use an intercept right there to go red. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna wait to heavy charge because I'm in the corner and I don't want to eat a hit. Even though my horseman would probably protect me, I don't want to do that. Just play it safe. And I'm at 100 charges, fully ramped, and just start my sp3 cycle, and it'll be enough to kill him. In between specials, I'm going to dash back to make sure that I give my power back enough time to register and give me my bar of power that I need. And if I don't, I'm also telling myself that whether or not to dump my sp2, if he can block it or not, or keep it, because I'll still have my prowess from it if I just wait for an actual opening to hit him with it. And if I hit him with the sp2, when there's an opening, if I bait a heavy, I will get more power back, and I can start this. I can start another cycle. So, just telling myself to be patient and dash back is the key here. But ultimately, this spot, while he is taking multiple special 3s over and over, he is ultimately going to go down. Now, this fight was 8 hits because I had to use some basic hits instead of 6, like my previous spot kills. So if I make it in the thumbnail that it's an 8-hit boss fight, or maybe I'll just write that it's a 90-hit boss fight, or whatever this ends up being out here. But I know Andrew gets mad at all the clickbaiting that I seem to do, or he does with his Herc shenanigans. But either way, it was a clean war all around for us. We died once in our BG, but let's look at our final stats. We did manage to win the war, like I said. Shout out to Karate Mike, Andrew, and B McG for MVPs. GG's to Celestial Avengers, and we will see you guys in the next one.